What's good with y'all? We back on another episode of the Truth Car Podcast. It's Big Nathan, and this is episode 7. Another time to get started with this Truth Car Podcast. Can't lie, the first thing I gotta talk about, this situation, I was at a grocery store the other day, and it came to my attention that I saw about 3 or 4 guys wearing bonnets. I'm going to say that again. I saw 3 or 4 guys wearing bonnets. And they were all different people. They didn't know each other, It's just something I want to speak about, I gotta ask, when did it become okay for guys to wear bonnets? And I'm talking about straight men. Like, when was it okay for men to actually wear bonnets? I don't know if it's I don't know if it's me. I don't know if it's me, but why do guys wear bonnets? Like, isn't bonnets supposed to be something girls are supposed to wear? No, guys, bro. This one is just a thought. I'm just saying it. I'm just asking the question, like, when did people actually start wearing bonnets, bro? Because I remember 5 years ago, I didn't see no guy wearing a bonnet. I didn't see no guy wearing a bonnet to the grocery store. I thought it was only females that wear bonnets outside, I can understand if you're wearing a do-rag, but like a bonnet? Guys who wear bonnets? When did it become a thing? Because 5 years ago, I didn't see no guys wearing bonnets. There was nobody wearing bonnets. It's just a question I'm asking. I'm not saying anything, but I'm just saying, when did people actually start wearing bonnets? But anyways, the main topic of this podcast today is drugs. You hear that right. The main topic of this podcast today is drugs. And we honestly have to talk about this whole situation. Like, don't do drugs. Don't do drugs in whatever society you're living in. Stay away from people who do drugs, and don't ever catch yourself tasting or testing a drug, whether you think, oh shit, it's gonna be your first time and you're only. What if you try that drug the first time and you get hooked on it forever? Don't do drugs. If you watch my content and you follow my page, I'm gonna tell you right now, and you're watching this video and you leave a thumbs up, don't do drugs ever. Don't do drugs ever. I'm anti-drug. Stay away from drug. I've never tried a drug in my life. And maybe that's why I'm this pretty, Maybe that's why I'm pretty. That's why I'm handsome. That's why I'm every single thing. Stay away from drugs and stay away from people who do drugs. The way I look at drugs is, people who do drugs are hooked on them. They're addicted to drugs. Whether they want to say, oh shit, they do it to have a fun time, have a party or whatever, stay away from people who do drugs and stay away from drugs. This is an anti-drug statement I'm making right now. Listen, people who do drugs are just looking for escapism from the reality they're living in. If your reality is actually good, you will want no escapism. If your reality is actually good, you will want no escapism from your reality in any way, shape, or form. Stay away from people who do drugs and don't do drugs yourself. Your life should be good enough to the point you don't have to escape from it, If you actually have to escape from your life by the use of a substance, You're living a sad life, and guess what? That's what your problem is. You have to fix that. You have to fix anything you're sad about. I don't care. I don't care if you're depressed, you're heartbroken, anything happened to you. Stay away from drugs. Stay away from drugs. You don't need them. You don't need them. You always wonder, oh shit, why you feel so tired when you wake up? Why you feel so lazy today? Because you're taking drugs. You're taking drugs. Anybody that takes drugs has basically given up on life. Anyone who takes drugs has basically given up on life. They've thrown in the towel in the boxing fight of life. They threw in the towel early than expected. They threw away earlier. They threw it in the first round. If you take drugs, you're basically throwing in the towel to your boxing fight of life. You got to be in the arena, in the jungle, you know. Stay away from people who do drugs. I'm going to say that again, and stay away from drugs. I'm anti-drugs. If I see a friend of mine taking drugs, I'm going to slap the fuck out of him. I'm going to slap the fuck out of him, and he's going to know to never take a drug a day in his life again. I can't stand people who take drugs. You need to escape from reality? I'm going to ask you that question again. You need to escape from your reality? Why don't you live in the moment? The only escape you need from your reality is at nighttime in the dream, when you're dreaming. Stay away from people who take drugs and don't do drugs. If you know you watch my content and you actually fuck with this page, stay away from drugs. I'm going to say that again. I don't care if you've heard it for the 100th time again. Stay away from drugs and stay away from people who do them. If you're around certain people, you're around a circle of people who do drugs, guess what? You're going to do drugs. I blame the society we're living in today because this shit is so normal. It's so normal to everywhere you go. You go to a party, the first thing they offer you is drugs. You go to a college party, the first thing they offer you is drugs. You go to a club, they offer you drugs. And by drugs, I'm talking about, you know the drugs I'm talking about. Shit, I'm so anti-drugs that, you know, if I had a headache, I'm not taking no ibuprofen. I'm not taking no paracetamol. That's how anti-drug I am. The only thing you need is water and food. You need water and food. And when I say stay away from people who do drugs, I'm talking about people who do hard drugs. Those are the people you just stay away from. You don't condemn them. You don't fight them or anything, but like, you know, you distance yourself from that situation, you know. Before you know it, they're going to infect you with a drug mentality, you know. It's a lazy escapism mentality. For real, though, you know. Damn, that shit was a whole rant, you know. It's a whole rant, for real, you know. Damn. Love you saying I've been giving, you know, some actually good advices, gems, whatever you want to call it, but you know, let's talk about financial advisors, you know. I gotta give you guys financial advice, you know. Right from me, you know. I might not be Marty Bird from the Ozark, but you know, I give you the best advice in anything you could possibly think of. I'll give you the best possible advice with anything you could think of. The main financial advice you need to know to actually sustain yourself in this world. I'm going to say that again. This one's the main key advice. Keep your expenses lower than your income. I'm going to say that again. Keep your expenses lower than your income. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. Keep your expenses lower than your income. Let's say you're making $20 and your expenses is $500 every freaking week. It's just common sense at that point. keep your expenses lower than your income. If you know you're not making this certain amount, you shouldn't be spending 10 times the amount of what you're making, you know? It's just common sense, really. Just spend some financial wisdom to you. I know you're sitting here right now, you're watching this content for a reason. Listen to what I'm saying. Keep your expenses lower than your income. Yeah. Can't lie, I've been thinking about this whole situation though, you know. You heard about anyone that watches the Power Universe, you know. They about to cancel the best, actually not the best, the second best show in their universe. Like, I don't know, it doesn't make sense really, you know. The last season better be good, honestly. That's all I'm gonna say, you know. But of all shows for them to cancel, like, damn, they should have canceled BMF. Like, what the fuck is BMF? What the actual fuck is BMF? They should have left Power Book 2 to, like, at least 6 seasons, you know? Like, what is BMF? They should cancel BMF and leave Power Book 2, really. Ghost. I mean, except if they want to do some, I guess, Power Origins, you know? But if you're watching this right now, just comment down below which one you prefer, Power or BMF. Because I know everyone's going to say Power, like, you know. And BMF gets a lot of hate, but, like, you know, it might still be a good show. I've seen a trailer a couple times, but I could never really get into watching it. Oh. Damn. I got to talk about this situation again. I know I mentioned this in my last podcast episode, but, like, you know, the Dre Mitchell and Jalen Green situation, everyone should just mind their business at this point. Everyone should just mind their business at this point based on this Jalen Green Drea situation, you know. If he's a grown man and she's a grown lady, if he decides he wants to go with a 99-year-old, he could go with a 99-year-old. That's his business. That's his problem. Like, you know, he makes his own money. He does his own thing. He should be able to do whatever the fuck he wants to do, you know? Shit, I can't lie, I would have probably done the same thing. I like Drea. I remember the first time I saw her in the movie, I said, yo, she's fine. She's fine. But I mean, I wouldn't cuff her. I wouldn't slip in, you know? I would not make her pregnant, but you know, I mean, Jalen Green, let him do him and let us do us. Let her do her. As long as they're both grown, I mean, but that's the internet for you. I mean, everyone's going to give their opinion, you know? If something goes out public, everyone's going to give their opinion. But, you know, at the end of the day, Jalen Green, he's a grown man. Dre Mitchell, she's a grown woman. Let's just mind our business. There's no need to go in the comments spreading hate or whatever, you know? Yo, Jalen Green. I can't lie, though. Recently, Jalen Green, he's been hooping, though. He's been hooping. He's actually been hooping he's been hooping better than he ever has. Maybe that's the secret, really, you know? If we really think about, like, he's actually hooping like he got a family to feed. He has a sense of urgency, you know? He has a sense of urgency. Oh. But yeah. The Truth Car Podcast. The only podcast on the internet that you should be watching. It's Big Nathan. You should be watching the Truth Car Podcast 24/7. And I'm going to keep on releasing content and dropping content every single time. I'm the content machine. I'm just going to tell you that. If you could leave with one thing I've said today in this podcast, stay with this one principle I'm going to tell you right now. Stay away from drugs and stay away from people who do drugs. If you have a friend that does drugs, try to lead him off that path. I've had a similar situation like that in the past, and I led him to Jesus Christ. One of my friend, my homie, he did drugs, but I showed him an example of myself. I showed him an example of myself, and he stayed away from drugs. And I was so proud of him, honestly. And he gave his life to Christ. That's the main thing I just want to talk about on this podcast, really. If you have a friend that does drugs, just know they're in a low state of mind. They probably depressed. They probably lazy. They probably going through some situations we can't really talk about. But honestly, you should lead them away from that substance, by showing them an example of yourself. You can't be taking drugs with them and expecting them to change. You got to show them an example of who you are as a person. That's just the key message I just want to make in this. I want everyone to see this clip. Like, honestly, like, if you're actually watching this video right now, call that your homie right now. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Call that your homie right now and tell him, yo, Big Nathan said you should stay away from drugs. Just tell him that, really. Tell him, it's Big Nathan. He said you should stay away from drugs. That shit is bad for it's bad for you. Like, don't you want to live as long enough to enjoy what you've made? Don't you want to live long? Don't you want to, have a future for your life? Call that your homie that is hooked on drugs. Tell him, yo, you got to get off that right now, or we gonna go our separate ways. Take care of your people. Take care of your mans. I'm gonna tell you right now. A lot of addicts you see on the street, you think they just started from there? They all started with that mentality of, let me just try one time. And from one time, it comes into the second time. From the second time, it comes to the third time. From the third time, you get hooked on it. You get addicted to whatever substance you're taking. If you could leave this video you've watched with one key thing, one key quotes or message, stay away from drugs and stay away from people who do them. And be a good example to whoever is associated with you. Don't do drugs yourself, and watch how the people around you are gonna change. At one point they're gonna say, yo, I want to be like this guy. This guy, he has high principles, he has high standards of how he actually lives. If you have a homie and he sees you, okay, yo, this guy, he's doing good with his life. What's he doing that I'm not doing? The first thing they're gonna see, oh yeah, he works hard every single day. Next thing they're gonna see, oh, he is actually a focused human being. Next thing they're gonna see, oh, he doesn't do drugs. The first thing your homie's gonna say, yo, you know what? Maybe I should change my lifestyle so I don't end up on a pathway on the streets, being one of these addicts, that walk around on the streets. A slippery slope effect could actually happen. I'm just gonna tell you that a slippery slope effect can actually happen. You can start taking drugs now. You're saying, oh shit, you're taking it out once a week. Before you know it, in 2-3 years, you're gonna be doing that shit every single day. That's how addiction starts. And anything you're addicted to, addiction is something that addiction is something that cannot, it's so hard to break, really. It's so hard to break an addiction. But on some real note, you guys in general have to stay away from drugs and stay away from people who actually do it. This is Big Nathan, and I'm out.